And this is what he said, the saying is trustworthy and deserving of full acceptance, that Christ Jesus came into the world to do what? Of which I am. You know, I've seen in this canon a lot, primarily starting in Acts around chapter 13, chapter 14, throughout Acts 28. Paul had a lot of opportunities to have an unforgiving spirit. Right? When you look at Corinthians and you see that list of everything that Paul went through, beaten, whipped, but I never say Paul withholding forgiveness. Why? Have you ever pondered on that? I think Paul always remembered he was a man still prone to sin. Do you think we think that way about ourselves? That we're people prone to sin? And as we're people that are prone to sin, who are we to withhold forgiveness? Who? I remember Doug's guidance in my life many times, much more than what he probably thinks. I listened to him a lot. I was teaching on Peter and forgiveness. Might have been last year. And Peter had asked the Lord, how many times should we forgive? And what was Peter's mark? 7. And what was the Lord's response? 70 times 7. I remember Doug teaching about the interesting traits of those numbers. If you want to be like Jesus, you'll forgive often and always. We want to forgive often and always, where we replicate Christ. We've got 2 dogs, and they like to chew on things. Have you ever given a dog a new toy and they get it in their mouth and they begin to chew on it, and you go over there and you're like, hey, give me the bone, give me the toy, and they're like, they fling it to you like no big deal. What do? They hang on to it, right? So there's like this tug of war, and that dog enjoys that, right? I've seen people with unforgiveness act much like the dog that I've just described. They get something and they hang on to it. And they model everything but what Christ has done, what Paul has done, and what you and I should be, the way that we should live. Should we be